I'm back again with another episode of Design with Me, your teacher, Miss Keenan. Today, I'm going to run through some of the basic Photoshop tools that you need to be successful in Photoshop. The first one I'm going to focus on is the selection tool mixed in with a little bit of layers. So I'm going to open up these two files, or actually just the JPEGs. This is my completed file. And then I'll meet you right in there. So here we go. I'm just going to go back because I've already had them open. All right, so this is going to be my little cheat sheet of which selection tool I told you to use for which piece of foliage. So I will be referencing that if I don't remember. So to start off, here is your artboard. I'm holding down the space bar and then moving my mouse around to move my artboard around. Here is your layers palette. As a default, whenever you take an image and you open it in Photoshop, it is considered the background layer and it is locked. So I cannot move it at all. See, I cannot move it. I can convert it to a normal layer and then I will be able to move it, but I'm not going to do that. So your layers palette will be on your right side. If you do not see it, go to Window and then find your layers palette. Okay? They will all be there. All of your different various palettes are here. All right, so let's make this quick so you guys can get back to regular things, your regularly scheduled activities. Okay, we're gonna focus on 3 selection tools or sets of tools. The first one being the marquee. So there's a rectangular marquee tool and an elliptical marquee tool there, and then we'll move on to lasso and then object selection. So it's the first 3 things that are in your left-hand column of tools. So let's start actually with the rectangular one. And I believe we're going to select this bark. So I'm going to hit, for you guys it would be, I believe, Control and then the plus to zoom in. On a Mac, it's Command in case you are working on a Mac at home. And now I'm going to start at the top left and work my way to the bottom right to make this selection. There we go. I'm going to hit, or you're going to hit Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and it automatically creates a new layer with that selection. I'm going to double click on the text for that layer and call it bark. You can call it anything you'd like. All right, now I'm going to go back to my background, zoom out, so Control -sign. The space bar to have my hand move the artboard around. Now this time I'm going to do an ellipses around this magnifying glass. In order to get a perfect ellipses, you need your rulers on. So if you don't see rulers like I have right here, you're going to go to View and you're going to go to Rulers. All right? So I've got rulers. I'm going to zoom in. Again, use my space bar. Now I'm going to click a guide down to the top of my magnifying glass and to the side of my magnifying glass. All right? I'm going to grab my elliptical marquee tool. Now, instead of clicking somewhere here, I'm going to click in where my guides intersect. And I'm going to hold down Shift as I make my selection. All right. Again, copy and paste. Now we've got our circle layer, so I'll call it circle. All right, back on the background layer. Zooming out. And now we are onto the selection tool for, let's do the bean. All right, so here you have your lasso tools. If you click and hold, you'll have a regular lasso tool, a polygon, and a magnetic. The regular one I didn't ask you to use, but if you are curious on how to use it, basically you just hold and just draw with your mouse, and eventually it will just close. And as soon as you let go of your mouse, it will close that selection, and that's where you have it. To deselect at any time, click Control D. All right, we're going to use the polygon this time for the big bean. All right. Right now I'm gonna just turn the view off of the guides. So I believe you can clear guides here if you don't want to use them anymore. That would be an easy way to do it. Yeah, let's just clear the guides. All right. And now I'm going to zoom in on my bean. I'm gonna click and then move further down the bean, click again. Basically, I'm just making clicks every so often. The polygon marquee tool basically means that it's straight lines between points. So let's try to make this as quickly as possible. There we go, clicking along the way. I can just, basically it's now attached to this point, so now I'm gonna click here, all the way back up my bean. Almost there. Ooh, do you see the circle that has now appeared beside my polygon tool there? That just means that I am about to close the selection. It's coming full circle, right? So there we go. We've closed it. Now I'm gonna copy and I'm gonna paste. Now it's turned into layer 1. I'm gonna call it bean. At any point, if you wanna change the order of these, it's as easy as clicking and dragging above another layer or below another layer. You can't do that with the background though. That one stays put because it's locked as the background. All right, now we're gonna move down to this leaf and we're gonna use the magnetic lasso tool. These selection tools get progressively better, just so you know. All right, this one, all you need to do is start by clicking once and then slowly moving around your object. I'm not clicking at all. It is just detecting the edge, of the object. So you can go quick, slow. There we go. You just gotta be kind of close to it. There's a bite out of this one, so I'm just gonna go around this bite. Bring it back up. And again, the circle there to say we're about to close the loop. So I noticed that it missed a little bit here. So I'm going to click Shift, and you can do this with any selection tool. Just click Shift to add. Do you see the little plus sign that comes on? I'm just gonna add another selection there, and that adds to it. Maybe here too. There we go. Yes, to deselect an area that you have selected, I believe it's Option, and then it's Option on a Mac anyways. And then you can deselect an area. Undo is always Control Z, Control. So here we go. And now again, as long as I'm on the background layer here, I'm gonna click Copy and then Paste. I'm gonna write green leaf here. All right. This little, what looks like maybe a compass, is our Move tool. Just in case you're looking for something like that, I'm going to zoom back out, Command minus sign. Let's see, what was the next one? All right, so we're gonna do this little leaf next, using the Object Select tool. So not this one, but we're gonna move into the third object selections. So Object Quick Selection tool is what that one was. And I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer, the background layer. Zooming in to my leaf, here we go. just on the regular brush mode is fine. It looks kind of tiny to me. So if you look up here, you'll see that there is some options for the brush. You can make it a little bit bigger, a lot bigger, up to you with what you're trying to select. I'm just going to click inside the leaf and it's going to start finding it. There we go. I would also like this stem, but my brush is far too big for that stem. So I'm going to make it a lot smaller, maybe 5 point, and I'm going to move this bar over. You can move that whenever you want. And I'm going to just click and drag. I'm zooming in, and it's got a little too much here, so I'm going to click Option and deselect some of it. All right, and zoom back out, copy and paste. I'll call this one Curly Leaf. All right, zooming back out, going back to my background. I believe next would be the magic wand tool. So here we go. We're going to use the magic wand on this orange leaf here. So let's find the magic wand. It will be in this third grouping of selection tools. Magic wand. We're going to zoom in on that leaf. All right, let's zoom in. Okay, we have zoomed in. And here is where you would select your sample size. Basically, it's looking around the point that you click on and looking for similar colors to that. The tolerance also, the lower the tolerance, the less it's gonna find. So let me show you what I mean. So let's make the tolerance 1, all right? And it's gonna look on an average of 3 by 3 pixels, and it's selecting a very small area. Now, when we go back up to 30, it's gonna select way more. To add to the selection, we don't need to increase the tolerance, but we can just click on Shift and add to the selection. There's a little much here, so I will probably decrease the tolerance there and then deselect that area. I'm just going to select all these little bits though. All right, so let's decrease the tolerance down to say 15, half. And now with Option in hand, I'm going to deselect. Oh, there we go. Now I'm going to add the stem into my selection by holding down Shift to add to that selection. Even this little stem can come in. Oops, just undid that. Let's try moving in a little closer. There we go. Zooming out a little bit, making sure that I'm getting it all. Basically, I'm just holding down Shift to add to my selection. And that's it. I don't know if we really need that little bit. Sure, why not? Okay, zooming out, making sure that I'm on the background layer with all of the pieces. Now Control C, Control V, orange leaf. It's important you name all your files. And now for the finale. All right, so let's click on our background layer. Let's duplicate our background layer. So you can do this a couple ways. Right click, duplicate layer, or you can just click and drag it to this little plus sign. And then you've got a copy of your background. This comes in handy when you want to keep some parts of your image, but not all of it. Anyways, it's just a handy tool. So here I'm going to select on Object Selection Tool. All right, and now I'm literally just hovering over an object and clicking it. There's one, here's another one, so I'm gonna hit Shift, click it, hit Shift, click, and so on to select all of the objects. And last one. There we go. And now again, copy, Control C, Control V, and that will have all of my pieces. So if I take this little eyeball off, and even the last one, the background, and take all of these off by clicking and dragging the eyeballs, I see that I'm left with a layer that has every piece on it, which is kind of cool. All right. You actually didn't need to copy the background layer, but it's just something that I like to do if I'm worried that it's gonna affect the background layer. So let's name our layer 1 with all. Just all is fine. Okay. To get rid of a layer, you just click on it and click the little trash guy. Yes, I want to delete it. All right, going back to my move so I don't see all this pink stuff everywhere. Zooming out, and then I'm gonna hit save. So you can go to File, Save, and then in my in the proper folder, I'm gonna write my name, Mrs. Keenan. All right, underscore, lay flat, Photoshop file. All right, so it's a .psd, and then save it. Yes. And that is how you use the selection tool.